Hello everyone. So in the last video about homeschooling and BJU Press, I said I was going to wait a couple months to come back and give you an update, but I have an update already and we're only 2 weeks in. So I thought I'd come on and just kind of keep you abreast of what's going on so that if you're starting BJU K5, maybe it'll give you a heads up also. So the first thing is I'm going to show you just our homeschooling area where I have our books and our resources, and I'll be right back on after that short video and get into the crux of things. Thank you so much. So this shows you where we keep our books and supplies for Miss Trinity. We just have a couple of wood containers. These are some Melissa and Doug containers that were at a store that was closing, at a family Christian store, and they were closing and they were selling everything, so they just gave us those free. And we keep our DVD sets here. These are her phonics cards, and I'll show you those a little bit more in a little bit more detail in the other video that will go here. This is her Bible. We just have everything here in this one little area up in the front of the RV. We keep her 2 violin books that she has to have for her violin class right here. But everything Bob Jones is here. Her phonics work text, everything for beginning to math. This was the teacher's edition book here. Her violin is right here. We keep the supply box and that over here. That's one supply box. This is just full of her flashcards. The lunch box is for her letters that she needed to have for Bob Jones kindergarten. And they're just the magnetic letters that were necessary for this year. And they just go right in there like so. And then these are a couple of other books that I'm going to show you in the other part of the video. Spanish, English, Bible stories. This book I love, and again, I'll detail it a little bit more. Some Spark Story Bible. These are her Big Book of Spanish Words. V is for vegan. That will probably go in another video where I show some resources for children to get them to understand veganism a little bit better. Our supply drawers, don't hold this against me because I know they're not in the best order, but this is her portable DVD player. So we use this when we do lessons outside. Just construction paper, other things that we use quite frequently, and a couple of other workbooks that we use as a resource. And these are some things that I got off of Teachers Pay Teachers, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that as well. This was adorable. This is something that we've just started doing a couple months ago. This is a clock that she made at Home Depot's one of the children's workshops that they do each month, and it's great because it's a manipulative that she actually needs for math this school year. This during this program, and so that's a great thing that they did there at Home Depot. And this drawer is just our craft drawer and art supplies, things that she needs. You never know what they're going to need, so I just like to keep things stocked. And you can get all of these things from the dollar store. Everything. This is just a tablecloth that we keep on the floor in here if she's doing artwork, or outside on the picnic tables when we're at campgrounds. A couple of aprons for painting and that, some yarn, things of that nature. Toothbrushes for painting. Of course, clothespins, glue. You use a lot of these different things. And then in this bottom drawer, I don't know if I can really get to it effectively right now, are things that we don't use all of the time, and that's why I keep them down here, because otherwise I need to move a few things to get to it. And this is the laminating machine, 3-hole punch. These are pens, pencils, scissors, safety scissors, some clips, stapler, some other books, Spanish, English books, dictionaries, transparencies, and some other paper that we use infrequently. And so that is just our Homeschool Area. And I will show you the rest in detail as we go along. Okay, we're back. The first thing I want to show you is my planner or portfolio. This is just kind of where I keep the video lessons and that organized. This is, excuse me, this is for Bible class. And get over here like that. Okay, so it just has the guide, the leader guide. I keep the DVDs right here. Just took a DVD insert page and cut it in half. Usually it has 4 on there. I just used it for the 2, and then I have the 1, 2, 3. One of them's in the TV right now. So I've got Bible, math, and then I keep beginnings right here. This is catechism for Bible. I keep that because it's a quick reference and I'm able to look at it as each catechism is given during class. This is all the section for Bible, and I won't go through all of that. But then this is the video lesson guide for Bible. And I have it labeled, just a little label there. And then I keep a label at the top so that I can go right to today, wherever we are. And then everything's right there. Okay. There were about 3 of these in each section. So there were like 3 for Bible, 3 for beginnings, 3 for math. And then there was a section that was one book that combined beginnings and math. I kept that, kept one Bible and threw everything else away because it was just in the way and it was going to be confusing. So I've got the math guide right here. And I do the same thing with a label, but for this label for today, I have math and beginnings together because I kept this one book that had both in there, and that was just more convenient. And you can see each day it's got both math and beginnings, so that was easier. So I've got 2 video guides, one for math and beginnings and the other for Bible, and that's it. So in the last video, I shared that I was not going to purchase the teacher's editions or teacher's manuals to go with each subject. And I was excited that the teacher's manual did come with the reading section or the reading guides, but they didn't have teacher's manuals with the other sections or other subjects. So I quickly learned that we do need the teacher's manuals. They weren't necessary for K4, but they are necessary for K5. Each teacher has referenced these teacher's manuals. So if you price them individually, the math teacher's edition as well as each beginnings teacher's edition, there are 2 for beginnings, 1 for math, they're $78.89 each. So that's $78.89 3 times. And then there is the Bible Truths Teacher's Manual, which is an additional $67.78. So that can get up there. That's quite costly considering that we've already paid $600-700 for the curriculum itself. So I started looking for other options. I said, okay, well, let me look to have it printed because they do have the manuals downloadable in PDF in your account at BJU Press. So I was able to download them, and I do have them here in the phone. But to be able to, or to have to look in here at the phone for each section and each subject every day, it's going to be too much. So I started looking for different printing options. If you go with a Kinko's or Staples or an Office Max, anything that's commercial, that's going to be costly as well. It won't be as much as the teacher's manuals themselves, but it'll be close. So in researching, I came across the Homeschool Printing Company. This is a gem, and if you can take advantage of it, I would implore you to do that. There is a total of 1,677 pages for all of these manuals, for everything that needs to be printed off. The Homeschool Printing Company charges 8 cents each for color single-sided. 14 cents each for double-sided for color. For black and white, 3 cents for single-sided and 5 cents for double-sided. So obviously if you get double-sided pages, it's going to be cheaper over the long haul. So what I did was I got double-sided black and white sheets, 1,677 sheets, came out to $41.95. Then it was $15.95 for shipping to Florida. We're in Florida right now, so it's $15.95 for shipping to Florida. Then when I got to the end, they gave a 10% new customer discount. So it was a grand total of $53.68, cheaper than the least expensive teacher's manual for all of them. So this Homeschool Printing Company, I'll put a link in the comments section. It's really worth it to go with them if you have bulk printing. I wish I had done that for her Blossom and Roots curriculum that she had for ages 2 and 3. And I'll do another video about Blossom and Roots. But that would have been great to have this as a resource. We definitely went with this Homeschool Printing Company. The only slight downside is the time that it takes to get your printing. When I first went in, it said that they were 2 to 3 weeks out to get the printing to you. But when I got to the end, after uploading all of my files, it said 1 to 2 weeks. So that's not that bad. Like I said, I downloaded them on here and I can deal with that for a couple of weeks until they get here. And I've already purchased a 5-inch binder. And I'll put everything right in that binder, and it just adds one more binder, no big deal, and all of my teacher's manuals will be right there together. So let's jump into the first subject. So the first subject we do each day is Bible truths, and I put all of the subject content into one binder. This took a very small binder. I really like these lessons. They're only about 14 minutes long. It gets the student everything that they need and does not belabor anything. They jump right in, get the crux of the subject matter for the day, and then we're on to the next subject. So it's great. So in this binder, we've got the inserts for the student packet, and I use these little labels to separate everything. The first is the actual worksheet. The next section would be the cutouts. We've got some cutouts that go along with the worksheets. And then the last section here are little storybooks that go for different lessons. We've done one thus far, and that was called Samuel Listened. And you just cut these little books out, make them into little booklets. And they're, your student may not be reading fluently right now, unless they're a savant. But right now they're not reading fluently. And so what they can do, though, is go back and retell the story using their own words. And that goes right along with the way they teach beginnings, the reading. And so it helps with the reading as well. In addition, they've got a Bible memory book. And this is where they're placing the Bible verses that they're using week to week and unit to unit. So I'm able to keep everything right here in one binder for Bible truths. The next subject we get into is math. We do math secondly each day. So this is the math binder. And again, I was able to keep everything for math in one binder. Okay, so I'll start with the maths. I shared in the last video that I did purchase a laminating machine, so I was able to laminate everything right out the gate. So I have to do no more laminating, no more cutting anything out for the rest of the school year. But this is the farm work mat. On the back, you've got the field work mat. This one is the 10 bar mat and the garden work mat. Okay, and you can use these with a dry erase marker to extend the lesson or to review whatever it is that you need to do. You can always, if something's laminated, you can always use a dry erase marker and then just wipe them right off. While we're on that dry erase marker idea, I do want to show you this binder that we use also. On teacherspayteachers.com. I'm not sure if you're aware of that site, but there are tons of resources, and they're made by classroom teachers for other teachers. And you can purchase a number of different classroom helps, and many of them are free. This happens to be a free resource, not the binder, but what's inside. There is a teacher, and her name is Crystal Clear, is her Teachers Pay Teachers site. And she created these alphabet wall posters using the Bob Jones Precursive font. Okay, and so I printed these off for K4. So Trinity has been using these for several months now. And I printed each one and put them in page protectors. Just like the laminations or laminated pages, you can write on these in a dry erase marker and then wipe them off with just a paper towel or a dry erase eraser. And this allowed her to be able to trace the letters and get her practice in using that precursive font that is unique to Bob Jones University. So of course she goes all the way through Z, and Trinity will take these. She was just doing a couple of exercises this morning, or tracing some letters this morning, and she'll say C is for cupcake. So she put the pictures right there, and it helps them to be a little more independent and also to want to practice themselves. So that's a resource. I'll put the link for in the comments down below as well. So jumping back into math, there is also the clock manipulative, and I already showed you the clock that we'll be using that Trinity made at Home Depot in their monthly workshops. And a side note on that too, those Home Depot monthly children's workshops are free as well. You get all of the materials. They get an apron, a work apron, they get pens, and they get certificates for completing each task, okay? These are laminated, just the rulers and paper clips where they'll be doing some measuring. This here took a little bit longer, okay? It was quite a process, but again, the more you organize at the beginning, the easier it is during the course of the school year. So I bought these little binder pencil cases and small jewelry Ziplocs. And all of the shapes and everything that they need through the course of the year are all separated in these little bags. So these again are all the shapes on this side. Okay, because they will tell you tomorrow's lesson you need 6 green triangles, 3 yellow circles, 4 red rectangles. And rather than cutting those out each time or beforehand, and then they're getting lost in the shuffle, or you've got to sort through all of those in order to get to them, I did them all beforehand, and whatever I need, we'll just take them out, stick them in the binder, and we're done. So I did those for all of the shapes. That's all in the pink pencil case, and in the blue pencil case we've got the animals and the money. So they've got the coins, pennies, dimes, they've got nickels, and they've got a single dollar. And then you've got pigs and chickies and caterpillars. There's sheep and ducks and some other animals, but they're all done and separated, and we don't have to worry about that through the course of the year. And then they're right here in this binder The entire subject is right there together. You're not looking for anything and trying to shift through things to find it. So in the math binder, besides the manipulatives and visuals, there are the worksheets. And again, I use just the little labels to separate. So all the worksheets are right here. Behind the worksheets, I've got the handouts. Everything's right there. And then finally, after the handouts are the answer keys in the back. Okay, so everything, again, nice and neatly organized in one binder for math. So you don't have all the different workbooks and manipulatives all over the place, and it's all right there. Very compact and easy to access. Okay, the next thing we'll get into is beginnings. And beginnings is quite large. That subject is pretty all-inclusive. And so you are using quite a bit of space as far as the binders. So I separated those into two binders, okay? The first includes the work text, and I'll show you some of the manipulatives that are up front. They have a name tag, and so that's just something I laminated as well. And we put that on the desk. She had one exercise where they had to draw their family. And so we just put that in the front, and she drew her family. And then we have these that I laminated. These are the characters. This is hopscotch. They needed them to color these. I laminated them and put them on popsicle sticks. We've not used these yet, okay? I held up the hopscotch puppet one time, and that was it. So I think if I had it to do over again, I probably would just have her use this as a coloring exercise and be done with it instead of just laminating and all of that. But it's better to have it done and not need it than to need it and not have it done. Okay, so in this binder, we have the beginnings work text. So these are some of the sheets that she's done already. Okay, and then just behind that, the supplement. Those are supplement guides that you need to do some of the work text sheets. And then you've got cutouts that are also used for the work text sheet. Behind that, you've got phonics practice. So I was able to put all of the actual worksheets in one binder. These are things that she's done already, that she's already worked on. Okay. Besides those things that I showed you in the front, they have letter maps. These are for small letters, lowercase letters, and this is for the uppercase letters. What I did here was just laminated each sheet, and I used these little book rings. And that way, she's able to lay it right out on the desk. It lays flat on the desk, whether they're using uppercase or lowercase. There's also the lyrics to the alphabet song that they use, and those lyrics are on the front as well, right there. So everything's right there in front of her, and it slips right in the binder. So again, everything's in one spot. Now the second binder that I use for beginnings just has the handouts, okay? So the handouts are in there, and then the answer key is there in the back, which I can't imagine we'll be using quite often. It's kindergarten phonics. All right. Another thing that goes with beginnings is a memory book that they need. These are things that I just keep in her supply and craft drawer. They're just stick-ons. You just peel the back off, stick them right on there, and they're an easy way to decorate nice and neatly. So, and they're from the dollar store. Get these kind of things and keep them on hand. But their memory book, they have sheets that they've got to take out, and the parent actually writes the story, but the student dictates that story at the beginning. So this is one that we did about colors. And I took all of these memory book sheets out in advance. I think there's 20 of them or something like that. Don't quote me on that. But I think there's like one every week or something. So I don't know. But I took them all out and put them in here in advance. So when Mrs. Lawson says take out your memory book, it's right here and it's ready to go. Okay? That is the crux of beginnings. So in addition to Bob Jones University, Trinity also has a couple of extracurricular activities or enhancement subject matters that she takes. The first one is Spanish. That's very important to me. I was in a situation where I ended up teaching in the classroom where most of the students spoke Spanish, and I had to learn the language in the classroom. And it's important to me that she understands Spanish and that she's able to communicate with Spanish-speaking people. We have a large population of Spanish-speaking people, even in the area where we're from in Michigan. Now we're in Florida, and I've been able to speak a little bit more. And Trinity even had an opportunity at the store a couple days ago to say a couple words to the cashier that was there. If we're going to go to California at some point, and of course she'll utilize it there, but it's not just in those states. We have a very large Spanish-speaking population, and it's just nice to be able to communicate with as many people as possible. So she takes Spanish with Panda. It's an online learning center, very similar to VIPKid where I teach. But they've got both Spanish and Mandarin that they offer. She takes Spanish, okay? And her teacher, I absolutely love her. Her name is Amelfi, Amelfi. And she's in the Dominican Republic. And so she's Trinity's Spanish teacher, and she takes those classes every other week. I will put the link for Panda at the bottom, as well as Maestra Amelfi's name, so that you can choose her if you'd like. But we've got a couple of Spanish books that we take a look at. This is my first Spanish phrases. I like this one. We did not stock up on a ton of Spanish books. And again, because we're in the RV, space is a factor. And so we didn't want to get a ton of things. We just want to get books that are very inclusive. And this has the things that she's learning with Teacher Amelfi or Maestra Amelfi. Okay. So this has phrases and basic conversational Spanish. Her other Spanish book that we're using here is my big book of Spanish words. This is something that she's also able to flip through on her own, and we can say the words together. So it starts out with my colors, mis colores, and you've got both the English and Spanish. So you've got white, blanco, yellow, amarillo, you've got blue, azul. Now they do use some different words, and that's going to be anywhere you go. So you've got purple, purpura, and there are a couple of other words you can use for purple. So you can use it from a few different resources. You've got my food, mi comida, and they're bright and colorful. And these are those thick cardboard pages, so it withstands. So I like that a lot. Another thing that she does is that she takes violin. Oh, I'm sorry, I have one more book. This is a book that I like as well. We got this not too long ago. And it's Bible stories in both Spanish and English. So it will just enhance her studies as she goes along. We've also got this complete book of starter Spanish. This has worksheets that she can use to enhance her online lessons, okay? So green, verde. What I like is that they are very similar to the Bob Jones University books. There was one that I just saw Like in BJU Press, she's doing choosing right now. So you get a picture, and then they tell you to choose the next pictures that are the same, or circle those pictures. Here's one. And you're doing the same thing here. Circle black. Anything that's black, and you go in a row. Okay, so they do it for all the different colors, days of the week, all of those. So these are just little things to enhance her lessons. Now, the next thing that I really love is this Bloomfield's Alpha Phonics. It's a primer for beginning readers. It takes reading down to its simplest form, and I absolutely love it. What you would do, it first shows you just the letters, okay? And then they go along and they do these pre-reading exercises where they say ABC, BBC, CAB, BCA, so they're able to quickly recognize those letters as they go along. And of course, GHI, it goes through the entire alphabet. And then it takes you from there to the student lessons, which is the next step, where they are am, an, as. Okay, so they're sounding things out as opposed to just recognizing the letters. They're associating the sound with the letter, and that gets them to read a lot quicker. Okay, so I love that book. I'll put the link down for that as well. We also are still reading Mother Goose stories because we started doing that in Blossom and Root. And again, I'm going to do another video about Blossom and Roots because if you got younger children, it's such a great nature-based curriculum that is downloadable online. And again, use that printing company to print it off, but it's not expensive to have printed. But they use Mother Goose as part of that year 4 or 3 and 4, ages 3 and 4 curriculum. And I got 2. This is an old Mother Goose book. It was totally falling apart. So I did have to rip those up and have it bound because it was totally falling apart. Now this has the original Mother Goose stories. This is from what? This one is from 1985. 1985. So it's quite old now. And it is falling apart. But it's just a remake of the original 1915 book. And it's got everything in there. Well, I like diversity, and I love culture and different cultures and celebrating different cultures. So I found this one, and this is the Neighborhood Mother Goose. And this takes those same stories and it puts them in, I want to say, I know it's in New York. I don't know if it's Brooklyn. I want to say it's Brooklyn. I'll have to look more. I can't remember, but I think it's somewhere in New York. I think it's Brooklyn. But it takes those same Mother Goose rhymes, most of them anyway, and they put a neighborhood setting to them, and they use all different cultures. So you've got African American, you've got Latino and Latina representation, African American representation. So it kind of reminds me of something Sesame Street would have put out. And I really, really enjoy this one. So when we do read those Mother Goose stories or Mother Goose tales, we read these right along with them when they're available. And again, that is by Nina Cruz. Now they're cutting the grass now, so I apologize for all the noise. But I think we have actually gotten to the end. I will show you one more thing, and that is the flashcards that we need to use. These are the flashcards that also go with beginnings. And what I did here, instead of taking a risk of losing them, I just punched a hole with a single hole punch and put one of those rings in there. So we've only used T so far. That's been in the last couple of lessons. And so we're able to just pull the T right out. T's right there. And there's an exercise, hold up the T when Mrs. Lawson says a word that starts with T, and she's able to hold it right up. And we don't run a risk of losing any of the cards in that. And if we do need to take them out, of course, you can always take it apart. But for the most part, we're going to definitely keep them intact. So the last thing I want to share with you before I wrap this up is that Trinity also takes violin lessons through an organization called Care to Rock. It's care, the word care, the number 2, and rock. I'm going to put that at the bottom as well. I absolutely love this program. Her teacher for violin is named Arlette Cardenes. You can Google her and see how accomplished she is. But Care to Rock is a company that is online. This instruction is online as well because we are full-time RVers. But for every lesson that is paid for, a child in foster care gets a lesson free, and they also get an instrument. So it is a wonderful, wonderful program. You're giving back while also either enhancing your child, teaching them humanities, or taking lessons yourself. It's for adults and children. So I'll put that link below as well. These lawnmowers are going crazy right now, so I'm going to wrap it up. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope you've gotten some useful information. Feel free to ask any questions, put comments at the bottom, like the video if you got something out of it, and I will see you again next time. Thank you so much.